Hello and welcome to the Superhero Hub. It's your boy Sam, the OG Pimp Hustler.
And I'm Matt.
And today we are reviewing
Doctor Who.
my boy Who, Holla. This was the Christmas special 2017. Twice Upon a Christmas. Tell them.
Well, I thought it was interesting how this was kind of low key. It was more of a contained story this year.
I'll agree. It was very easy to watch. I thought, you want to know what? The story's quite good. There was no, I guess the term I'd use is beef ting. There was no hype. There was no gas. It was literally like, look, because he even mentioned it himself. It was like, oh, you ain't got no evil plan. I kind of don't know what to do. The World War Two stuff.
One.
Yeah, the World War Two stuff.
One.
I didn't really see the point of it. I guess that they kind of they unified at the end, and you had the armistice. I don't really know what part it had to play in, apart from, oh, let's just get the Brigadier's dad into it and do a callback to the old stuff, even though I'm pretty sure the first Doctor had no interaction with him and the 12th really didn't either. So I guess Mark Gatiss was like, oh, this is going to be my last chance because I'm a long-term collaborator with Stephen Moffat. I might as well pull some strings and get myself in a Christmas special, even though...
Yeah, well, the 12th Doctor had that thing at the end of the 8th season, wasn't it? Or was it in the 9th? I think it was the 8th, where the Brigadier was like a Cyberman or some crap like that, and obviously the granddaughter was a character. Would it be... not like the granddaughter, his daughter's a character. Would it be his dad or his granddad?
His dad, obviously.
It's World War One, 1918. I know the Brigadier was old, but when would he have been born if he was, what, say 40 odd in the 70s? Then he would have been. It might be. I don't know. Who cares? He's related to the Brigadier.
Carry on. Let's see more. Let's see some maths. Go on.
Oh no, it's not my strong point.
1918, 40 years. That's 1970 apparently. Yeah. So which one is it? Is it his daughter or is it the grandfather?
Oh, see, now I'm even more confused. It was the Lethbridge Stewart.
Yeah. So I just figured it was his dad. Yeah, because he said kind of keep an eye on him, so I figure the kid must have been quite young. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't really get the point of that. I mean, they kind of explained it away that they jacked him out of his time stream just before he got killed, and like one thing I didn't get. And if you pardon me, right, so they're kind of, him and the German guy, they've got their blammers out and they're pointing at each other and it's going to go off. Then you have the armistice and they're all pissing around in the field. So they do that, and then like, what, a couple of hours later they're kind of like, look, assume the positions then. You know, you get over your side, we'll go over our side, and on the count of 5 we'll carry on shooting each other. I didn't really get the mechanics of that, because I figured they were going to put him back in the crater, and then Herman was going to let a shot off, and that was going to be it. So it's like, oh.
See, I figured he'd live, because they made a point earlier on in the episode of that's probably what's going to happen. I figured if they're addressing it, then they're going to fix it. What confused me is the same thing, though. What you're saying, where the thing picked up, it's like
extracting
the doctor might have saved him. The doctor might have saved him in that moment, but leaving him there means he's more likely to die there than live anyway.
Well, the whole point is, I don't really know. I think they tried to explain it like them two were in the same place, and that apparently messed things up, because they whipped him out. They were going to do whatever they do, like make a reference of all the memories and stuff like that, and then dip him back into the timeline, kind of like the Tesselector did, except they didn't kill no one. And like, but for some reason, he ended up getting sent to the North Pole where he bumped into them two. So that was an anomaly. He shouldn't have been there. They were supposed to ditch him back in his thing where they kind of left him off. But like,
see, that's what's confusing to me in terms of like the structure of the episode, and it didn't really bother me. I thought, you know, he fit well on the ship. It was fun to have a Lethbridge Stewart around. That was fine, but
well, he didn't
in
do
an
nothing.
episode.
How was it fun to have him around? He didn't do nothing, and we didn't even find out. No, it's not like he.
I thought you don't need this whole deep dive on the character. He's just there for one trip. It was fine. He did as much as the Brigadier would have done in the old episode. Like, he hung around, had a couple of conversations, and did his part for the episode. I thought it was fine. I'm just saying.
You're making it sound like he was pimp slapping Daleks or something.
No, I'm not. I'm
pretty sure
he was there. It's Doctor Who. He was there to have a conversation, have a couple of comedy gags about things, and that's what he was purposely served. It was fine.
My point is, it wasn't nice having him around. You said it was nice having him around.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. It wasn't a distraction. It was what it was. It was no big deal. I think you're overhyping it.
It could have been anyone. He could have been anyone.
Yeah, but it wasn't anyone. That's the point. That's not the point, though, is it? They wanted to make him a Lethbridge Stewart, and they did it. Who cares? Bloody leaving the show, they want to stick this guy in. So what does it matter? We're sitting here and dissect a not Lethbridge Stewart for an hour, are we? But it was fine. My thing, though, that is like,
it wasn't just fine. It was nice, apparently.
The thing is, like,
was
why
it fine
go out?
Or was it nice?
Would you shut up for 5 minutes? Why go out of your way to make it so difficult to get a Lethbridge Stewart in there when you're going to do that thing where you can have Bill or Nardor or anyone else pop up so easily? It seems like they want to have their cake and eat it too. One's like this really difficult displacing in time for seemingly no reason, and the other's a really plot convenient thing which helps them give cameos.
I thought the chemistry between the First Doctor and the 12th Doctor was really good. I think this was another kind of solid episode for 12. Peter Capaldi, I think, did really well. He was he was poised, he was very gentlemanly. I liked his performance a lot. Yeah, I don't really know why they brought... I figured, because like, you saw the little brain scuttling about, and I was like, oh, is that Daleks out of their shell and stuff like that? And they kind of made a reference to it out of his shell. And they kind of... I thought it was going to be Davros, but they ended up rolling up and it was Rusty. I guess that was a harken back to the second episode, even though I didn't really get the point of it. Because like him and Rusty were cool, and then like it was like, oh yeah, why would you want to miss out the opportunity of watching me die? And I was like, yo, I thought you and Dusty were cool. Why are you trying to make him out to be some sort of dickhead?
First of all, his name's not Dusty. Secondly,
Rusty.
Well,
he had dust on him, didn't he? It's not like he was going anywhere. He was hooked up to everything. So yeah, he could have been Dusty.
To be honest, I couldn't remember how it ended. I thought he died in the episode.
Who, Rusty?
Yeah.
No, he laid down his blammer. He kind of shot his gun out. I don't know. It was like they seemed to have a hard-on for this hive mind stuff, because they were going on about the Cybermen having a hive mind, and then all of a sudden the Daleks have hive minds. It's like, I've never had that one before. You know what I mean? It's like it's got a hard-on for, oh, we need information. Well, it just so happens the Daleks are all interconnected in a hive mind. It's like, oh, are they? Because, I mean, this situation's popped up quite a few times and I've never once heard it before. But, yeah.
Yeah. But it's the way of, defining a difference with the Doctor, who's literally the opposite, always running.
They should have just dashed handles in there.
Handles? That was Matt Smith's thing, wasn't it?
So?
Hmm.
They could have had him before he lost his head and been like, yo, handles, holla.
Speaking of, this is the second Doctor in a row who's regenerated in the Christmas special. I wonder if they're gonna... I imagine they'll... I mean, it's too soon to speak of it, we're obviously years away, but I imagine they'll change that up the next one.
Don't you mean 3? David Tennant regenerated in a Christmas special. Matt Smith regenerated in a Christmas special.
But David Tennant wasn't David Tennant technically New Year?
Nah.
It was a 2-parter, wasn't it?
Whatever.
He regenerated on New Year's Day.
Whatever. I don't remember. It's the same. So, so anyway, yeah. So you had the kind of glass woman walking about.
Hmm.
I kind of like it. Like, I don't know whether people have had an issue. Like, you kind of had Nardo pop up. And I was thinking to myself, because people are kind of whack these days. And do you know how, like, Doctor Who always used to, like, mug Nardo off? Like,
Yeah.
do you have an issue with that? Because I liked it when he turned up in this episode and it was like, oh, just when you think your day can't get any worse. I like that kind of japery and stuff like that. And I was
You
thinking
mean
that,
do I have an issue with him mocking Nardole or Nardole popping up?
well, it's a kind of two-part. Do you have an issue with it? And do you think other people would have an issue with it? Because I kind of liked it.
No, that's the same thing he used to do with Mickey.
Yeah, but this is a bit like, oh, God, you know what I mean? Oh, it's you again. I just
Oh
sit...
yeah, it's a comedy gag. He's a bit of a goofy character, and the Doctor mocks him for it. Why not?
I just wonder whether you thought in the grand scheme of things people would be like, oh, why is he always mugging him off for? You know what I
No.
mean? I get the comedy thing, I understand it, but I wondered if you thought, you know what I mean? We got Clara back. That was the bit that upset me the most, because in my head I was thinking, oh, he's going to regenerate, it's going to be... It was very dignified in regeneration, and I thought it was going to be a tearjerker, you know what I mean? But the thing that got me watering up the most was probably when Clara came back. I liked it when she called him a stupid old man. I liked that. That was kind of cute. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was glad to see Clara. I thought it would have been a bigger thing. It's just she turned up for 2 seconds and then laid the cut, kind of like what Amy Pond did. But yeah, I guess I wanted to see more Clara. I'm being selfish. Not that it would have made the episode better or anything like that, but I think personally for me, I would have liked to have seen more Clara. Bill was good again. You know what I mean? Bill was quite decent. Everyone was good. It was just a really good episode. All the characters were good.
They were. I like the fact that the first Doctor was kind of stuck in the '60s, if you want. That was funny, especially how he kept on embarrassing the Doctor. I like a lot of the jokes about the age, especially the fact that Capaldi's Doctor claimed to be younger, even though Capaldi himself was older than Hartnell was, but clearly younger, I guess, than David Bradley. I think that's part of the confusion of William Hartnell looking so much older than he actually was.
Yeah, I like the first bit where it was like previously on Doctor Who, and you had like him in the TARDIS, black and white, and then it was like 709 episodes ago, and then when the first Doctor Who kind of went in his TARDIS, and it kind of flashed back to the black and white and had him regenerated into Patrick Troughton. I thought that was good, and yeah, the speech at the end, as I said, very dignified, not sad, just kind of, you know what I mean. He did.
See, I didn't dig it. I thought it was overwrought.
I
He
liked,
kept on moving about and dancing around the TARDIS. I thought, oh, blimey.
yeah, because that's kind of like, you know what I mean. It was like he knows it's coming, he knows what's gonna pop, so he's just gonna be like, it was erratic. That's what he was. I think he was scared. I liked it when he dropped as well. You know what I mean. A bit of the kind of script, it's like it was a bit that he brought up the same points a couple times, and I was just thinking, oh, they should have got, you know, they should have handed that off to a second writer to kind of, you know, make it a bit more.
Yeah, it
less,
just felt he rambled and went on about the same thing a little, and also
exactly the point I just made.
I remember Stephen Moffat at some point talking about the David Tennant regeneration, saying how, in his opinion, the regeneration had got a bit self-indulgent and kind of overwrought and drawn out and dramatic, which in a way I get what he means with the whole, you know, destroying the TARDIS thing, but then he's just gone and done the same thing.
Well, I was on YouTube earlier and I was watching a kind of behind the scenes thing, and it was a director who wanted to blow it up. Rachel, whatever her name is, she was like, "Oh yeah, I wanted things blowing up and stuff like that."
I don't just mean blowing up the TARDIS. That's fine. I get why you do that because you want to build a new one. It's place for a new Doctor. I just mean
I thought the lean back
the
was
overall. I'm going now, so I'm going to make this big speech to the audience. Apparently to the Doctor, but really it's for me and my Doctor. Blah blah blah. I was like, you're rambling a bit, pal.
yeah, but that's like saying that exactly the same as a Matt Smith one. When Matt Smith was in the TARDIS and he was about to go, he talked for about 10 minutes. His one was way better. His one was way better written. Yeah. I don't know. I think he just wanted to come at like no big deal. You know what I mean? He wanted to be dignified and just be like, look, I did my thing. Because it was like, it was to her. He was speaking to her. It was like, oh, to you. You know, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And then he was given a checklist for her to kind of, you know...
So that's what I didn't like. He's given a checklist to himself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he's got to remember these core values that make him the Doctor. So, yeah, the lean back and the effect when he was regenerating, that was kind of understated as well. They kind of made it a bit like electrical and stuff like that. I like the first person stuff. The ring bit was pretty sad, I guess, because the whole, I guess, Peter Capaldi's thing with the ring, which I guess unless you proper look into it, you don't really know. You know, you have to know about that for that to actually... And I watched a couple reaction videos, and there were a couple people who kind of like clocked and got upset when the ring dropped, and other people...
Yeah, we should say, in case someone that knows, I saw an episode of Graham Norton where he went on about it.
I read it.
It's Capaldi's red wedding ring, which he refused to ever take off. So that's why he just wore it in the show.
Yeah, because like, when he was like struggling through stuff to get roles and stuff like that, his like wife was a big support to him, so he always wears like his ring and that to remind him and stuff like that. So yeah.
I do wonder, because I think I read, I hope I'm not making this up, I'm pretty sure I read it somewhere that Murray Gold is leaving the show. So I wonder if that's why they brought in like a lot of the old music.
Probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that as well. I was like, oh, they're bringing back the old stuff. Yeah. I like the kind of first person stuff with her. I like her. She looks good. I like her accent. I like how she talks. I was thinking, like, when she kind of just nonchalantly, like, presses the button and then it all blows up and stuff like that. Is that, like, because I know it's meant to be, like, a reaction to, oh, she's a woman and stuff like that, and the TARDIS is chucking it out. And it's just like, okay, you've got that, and I think a lot of people are like that, and it's a kind of inside joke. Like, did he sit down with Chris Chibnall and be like, look, this is what, like, was Chris like, oh, I want to do this, or was Stephen Moffat like, I want to do this, and stuff like that? Because if it's Chris Chibnall who was like, oh yeah, do this and stuff like that, dash her out the TARDIS, if that's just like the one hit gag and stuff like that, or whatever, or where it's meant to be in alluding to like, oh, we're going to bring up the fact she's a woman every 5 minutes, that's going to piss me off, because they've got to be classy about it. If they keep bringing it up and they make a point of it, it's going to completely ruin the show. You know what I mean? It's fine. People are fine with her. Of course, people whinged about her being a girl and the thing, but everyone's over it now. So I don't want to hear anything about it. I don't want people referencing she's a woman every 5 seconds. I don't want her interactions to be like that. I don't want, you know, undertones and stuff like that. Like, no one cares. This is a perfect example. People kicked off about it for the first, 2 weeks, and now here we are, 3 months later. And it's never talked about again. No fans bringing it up anymore. And if the writers and the showrunners keep bringing it up in the new series, it's going to really turn me off. Because
first of all, there's always going to be people bitching about it. You're not going to get away from that. But
I haven't heard a peep for months. People are over it.
Most people are over it, but some will complain. You're delusional if you think they won't. There are people who are still complaining about Capaldi. There are people who are still complaining about Matt Smith. There will be people who are still complaining about Tennant. There's always going to be some section of the fandom who ain't happy. But yeah, you move on and you don't address it, hopefully. But they will address it in the first episode. There's no way they won't. And in terms of who... But would you rather see? I'm not overly looking forward to it, but I'd rather they do it in one episode, get it done, and move on, than continuously bring it up.
Yeah, but the thing that bothers me is that even if they bring it up for the one episode, that's one episode too much, because they don't need to do. Why can't she just do her thing and then it never be brought up?
Because the Doctor's never been a woman before. Because the TARDIS has been travelling around with a so-called madman in a box who's now a woman. It's, you know, I get what you're saying, but in some ways this is the first time in nearly 40 years of the show that we've had this change. You can't not address it.
Which is even more reason why you shouldn't address it. Because then when they want a black Doctor Who or a Chinese Doctor Who, it's going to be the same thing. If you do such a dramatic change like a woman, and you never address it and you never kind of bring it up and you don't make a big deal out of it, then it's never going to be an issue again. So they can have whoever, they can have a transgender or whatever, they can have whoever they want as Doctor Who, and it's just going to be like, oh, there weren't no big deal when she was a woman, so why should we kick up a fuss because there's a Taiwanese Doctor Who? You know,
Taiwanese Doctor Who. Well, we'll see.
You know what I mean? I don't think they're just going to shoot himself in the foot by bringing it up. You know what I mean? That's why they felt the need to lay all the groundwork and make Missy an incarnation of the Master to be like, to kind of ease people in and stuff like that. It's like, yo, no one cares. Forget about it. Yeah, people are going to complain, but yeah, I liked her first thing. I liked her opening line. I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, my original point before we went off on the tangent is like, if she pressed any other button, would she have been cool, or is it just, you know, she just changed and she just whacked any button and it just so happened that button ditched her out? You know what I mean?
I just think it's TARDIS throwing her out.
I think it's going to be cool. I wonder what's going to happen. Like, she's just regenerated, so she's calm. So I'm thinking, is she just going to splat on the floor and be fine because she's just regenerated? Because, you know, when River Song regenerated and she got blasted, like, she just shook it off and she was like, yeah, I'm in the first 24 hours of my regeneration. I'm cool. So I kind of like it if she splatted on the floor or something. I was just like, just got up and was like, oh, whatever. That'd be cool. But, like... Is the TARDIS going to swoop down and save her even though it just blew up? That'd be pretty... It's dramatic, you know what I mean?
No, you know what's going to happen. She's going to be locked out for an episode like Matt Smith was. Same thing happened in this one.
Yeah, but how's she going to... She's falling. Like, is she going to...
Oh, no, she'll land in a pool somewhere. She's going to land somewhere. You know, the thing is...
I kind of just wanted to like, land on a car or something and just kind of shake it off. That'd be cool.
Well, I think didn't we see some clip of like the TARDIS in like a forest or something? Am I making that up, or the woods or some crap like that?
That was her introduction. I was thinking that as well. Is she just going to end up stumbling across it or whatever? What? So you think she's going to land in a lake? She's going to piss about in a forest, and then she's going to stumble across it? Yeah, that'd be cool, and it'd make sense, and it'd work into the thing. But that's not her outfit. Or is she going to get in there and change her outfit? Because you saw her in the big coat and the hoodie and stuff like that. And that's kind of what her outfit is. But obviously she's wearing the jumper and the trousers and stuff. So is she going to like... Obviously she's going to need... Is she going to change her clothes? Like, as in she's going to splat and then just whack on a hoodie and a jacket and do her thing and then go and get her outfit when she gets back to the TARDIS? Or is she going to spend this episode in those clothes and then whatever? Which makes which makes me think if she's walking about in them clothes, are people gonna like be like, oh, that's an odd kind of clothing choice, which is gonna lead into whatever? Because no one knows her. The only reason people are gonna bring up she's a woman if she bumps into someone she knows. You know what I mean? If she rolls up to the Master and is like, oh, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm the Doctor. And then she's going to be like, then they're going to be like, oh, whatever. But then, like, you had him talking about how the kind of Time Lords are above that, so they shouldn't mention them. So, like, if he bumps into...
Yeah, the Time Lords are above it, but the Master isn't.
If you bump into the flipping, well, he knows he's became a woman and stuff like that. So like, if she bumps into a Dalek, are they gonna bring it up, or are they gonna be not bothered either? Because like, if she bumps into like her new companions, and that you're gonna be like, yo, these people have just met. What do they know about anything?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing as well with
Everything's in place for them never to bring it up, and the fact if they go out their way to bring it up is going to be a massive turn off.
See, the thing with her episode as well is, and we've descended to talk about the next episode instead of the one we're addressing. But I like the thing is like,
she even
with her with her having multiple companions, it's like, how's that going to work? Like, who's she going to meet first, and is she going to meet them all together? Are they all from contemporary Earth time, or are they from different places?
Yeah, she kind of looked good in Peter Capaldi's outfit.
Yeah, well, who cares?
Yeah,
They're going to get red.
I'm a big fan. I like her a lot. I like her.
How can you be? You're a big fan. You've seen her for about 10 seconds.
I like the way she looks.
I'm sure you do.
I don't want to be sexist, but she's got a nice face, and I like her hair. I'm wondering what she looks like with long hair.
I don't know.
I don't know why, but yeah, I'm way into her. You're angry.
I'm not angry. Why would I be angry?
Would you have rather it? I'm going to ask you this. Would
I rather it was a bloke?
No. Would you rather it was an old woman?
Why would I want it to be an old woman? No.
Well, you're mad that it's her, and it's like, who would you rather have?
I'm not mad that it's her. You're just completely making that up.
Well, you're not excited about
just because
her.
I'm not sat here jumping out of my seat like you. I don't mean I'm mad. Not at all. We haven't seen anything. I was no more excited for Matt Smith when he first regenerated. He fell out of the TARDIS. She's done the same thing.
Well, he didn't fall out.
I'll be excited when I watch this.
He never fell out the TARDIS.
He was hanging out. He was clinging to the end of it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I was no more excited for that than I am this. I'm hoping the episode is good. I'll wait until I see it. I mean, I've just sat through a really terrible season of Doctor Who. Yeah, the end in this special were good, but that season was dreadful. So I'm not overly excited for the show at the minute. It has nothing to do with it.
That scuppered him a little bit, because the series before was really good. His middle season was really good. And yeah, I guess the last couple of episodes of his first season were quite good. And yeah, I think the thing that scuppered him a little bit, maybe, which is annoying for him, is that this last season, the first six or seven episodes, they were whack. I think they should, knowing that it was his last season, they should have been like, look, it's been quite good. At the end, I really liked him. I thought, you know what, he should be proud. He did a good job, you know what I mean? Especially in that episode, I was like, oh, I'm kind of like, you know what I mean? I never had a problem with him in the first place. I know a lot of people like, oh, he ain't young and hot and stuff like that, but I think he did a really good job. I think he did a great job. I mean, I'd even like to see a season of flipping David Bradley as the first Doctor Who, you know what I mean? Because I thought he was really good as well. You know what I mean?
I think you avoid that, though.
Yeah, I think it'd be a bit outdated because his kind of, as you said, he was kind of, his character was stuck in the kind of 60s in this episode, so it kind of wouldn't, for a comedic effect, I guess, but probably a lot of people would be like, oh, that ain't funny given the current climate or whatever, but I mean, whatever, it'd be quite good.
Yeah, well, that is what made it funny for a session, but look, yeah, I think what hindered Capaldi a bit, and I liked him in the end as well, but I think what hindered him a bit as well was his character kind of changed up.
Yeah, it's real anger at the start.
Yeah, I think it's like, because there was a lot of talk from Stephen Moffat and Matt Smith about they wanted, before Matt Smith decided to leave, they were going to make his Doctor darker, but then they had to abort that, and it seemed to be they put that on Capaldi originally, but then changed their mind. Which I think was for the best. I think he was more likeable at the end of his run than he was at the beginning, even if the episodes were worse.
Yeah, I think that's because of his thing with Bill, you know, being a teacher and stuff like that, as opposed to being a friend or whatever. Yeah, I think, do you know how when Nardo just kind of turned up and he mugged him off. That would have worked better for him if you kind of had his personality, instead of him being angry and stuff like that, if you had him kind of just like mugging people off, as opposed to being like really blunt and stuff like that. Just be like, you know, make snide, like funny snide remarks and stuff like that, and like clear observations. You know how some people are like, you're optimistic and stuff like that, even though what's going on in front of you and stuff like that. That's how the other doctors have been. If you actually called it out and like mugged it off and stuff like that, that would have been a little warmer than him just being kind of cold and blunt how he was in his first kind of bit. But yeah,
and right, in retrospect as well, I think it made more sense for them to go the way they did, with him being older but playing younger, especially when you mixed it up with Matt Smith, who was basically the opposite.
Yeah, I'm saying what would have worked out for him originally is if they kind of made him a bit like, if he was just mugging people off, that would have been better, because you would have had your kind of less kind of nicey, and it wouldn't have been like too scary, you know what I mean? Because obviously they thought, if he's going around being like really angry and stuff like that, is little kids watching it are going to be like, oh, why is he being nasty for and mean? As opposed to if he was like comedic about it, that they could have had him being kind of angrier while kind of being appealing as well, which is why in this episode he pulled it out of the bag and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. I don't know when the next season starts, but yeah, I want it now. I want to see our first episode. I want a gauge of it.
I imagine it's got to be this summer.
Because the first episode's gonna lay the cut. If I watch the first episode and in my head it goes how I want it to go, I'm like, this is going to be good, you know what I mean? If it's what I think it could be, which I mean will completely ruin everything for me, if they keep, like, you know, making references and stuff like that, I'm just going to be like, oh, it's just going to turn me off. It really is. It's like, oh, please don't do it. You're in a perfect position not to do it. Please don't do it. If I was showrunner, I would not. I wouldn't make a big deal of it, and I think you'll get a lot more praise for not bringing it up than if you did. You know what I mean? A lot more praise.
Here's what I agree with you in terms of the show going forward and bringing on new characters and not addressing it in that way. But just because the first Doctor was in this episode, it made me wonder, like, theoretically, I don't think they'll ever bring Susan back, but theoretically, if they did, how would that? Would she still call the Doctor grandfather?
I think that would be kind of funny if they did that. I wouldn't mind that.
But really, like, what do you say grandmother now?
I kind of, if they brought up, I'd prefer if she called her still called her grandfather and stuff like that. But I think if you do that, I think less the kind of, see, this is what's annoying now, because I've got a kind of, you know, you've got to kind of be PC about this. Like that wouldn't bother me if she kept calling him grandfather, but I think members of the LGBT community will be like, oh, you've got to use the right pronoun and stuff like that, and they'll see it as somehow, even though it isn't, they'll see that as some sort of, oh, you're making a mockery of our plight and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, so that's ruined now, you can't do that either, okay, you've ruined that. But yeah, if they kind of, if she turned up and called her grandfather, yeah, there'd be no issue there. But I think people would have an issue with it because, you know, oh, you've got to use the right pronoun. It's like, whatever. Don't try and force that on me. You know,
I doubt we'll ever find out.
I'm not bigoted. I'm not in that way inclined and stuff like that. But if you're gonna force stuff on me, no thanks. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh, on that cheerful note.
Well, it's true. It's like, oh, you can't call her grandfather because blah 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 blah, and it's like, I'm pretty sure that's contradictory. I'm pretty sure you're being hypocritical, but okay then, okay, let's whinge about that for 5 minutes. It's like, pfft. So yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I didn't want to get into it, because PC, it's like, if you did that, it's going to be offensive.
You can't not get into it though. I mean, this is the issue they've raised.
Yeah,
great.
That's why
but this stuff comes with it.
Yeah, that's why that's why. Yeah, it's like, why make a big people are like, I figure the LGBT community will kick up a fuss about it, and then everyone else is like, oh, why are you getting in a tizzy for? You know what I mean? So in the grand scheme of things, the majority of people ain't gonna be bothered. But I think the select few are gonna be somehow gonna. Everyone needs something to moan about, and they'll just nitpick, and it'll just be like, "Why are you doing? You're making this worse for yourself, being petty and coming up with stupid things like that."
Yeah, well, you know where the real issue is going to come from. It's going to come from how do you address the love interest situation. That's where people are going to get riled. Do you ever give the Doctor a love interest? If you don't, are you then avoiding it for a reason?
That's what
then
I
if
mean.
you do, you know what I mean? If all these questions are going to come.
That's what I mean. I'd just do it and not be bothered. That's what I mean.
Right,
People are too like, I can't do this and can't do that. She don't need one. By no means does she need one. But if you want to add that as a dynamic, go ahead. But does she need one? No. Yeah,
Every other Doctor in the new show has had a love interest, though. So if you don't give this one...
It's interesting because Matt Smith and Clara, there was a kind of tension between that. With Matt Smith and Pond, it was kind of like, father-in-law and stuff like that, and kind of like best buddy and stuff like that. Then Clara and Capaldi was just like, look, there ain't going to be nothing going on and stuff like that. We're just friends and stuff like that. And
right, but Matt Smith and Capaldi are both hooked up with River Song. David Tennant was hooked up with Rose.
Yeah, but that was kind of his wife and stuff like that. And then Rose was a different kind of thing. But yeah, and then Capaldi and Bill was kind of like a teacher-student thing and stuff like that. It's like, I don't think she needs...
Right, but that's the companion, though. I'm not saying you hook up the Doctor with, whatever companion they're going to have, but every Doctor in a new show, even Eccleston to an extent with Billie Piper, they've had a love interest. And so if you don't do it, are you then doing it to avoid this situation?
Yeah, I would do whatever I feel like I want to do for my thing. It's like, if I'm doing a story and I feel like and I'm introducing characters and I feel like, oh, this is going to work well for the story, and from like an episode purpose, I'll do whatever. And like, if people have got a problem with it, as you said, people are always going to have a problem. I'll just look. I've got my vision. Chris Chibnall's got his vision of how he wants to kind of run the show, so stick to that. And if he starts bowing to pressure and stuff like that, it's like, right, so you're going to make whack episodes, kind of like Stephen Moffat did. He felt like for the first few episodes of this season of Capaldi, he's bringing up this, he's bringing up that, he's bringing up all these social issues. The episodes were whack. You were trying to make a point that didn't need to be made. You're just shining light on superfluous issues and just kind of bringing attention to something you shouldn't really be bringing attention to, and you made whack episodes and you ruined the season. You know what I mean? I'll be like, look, I've got this vision of how I want this season to go. This is how I'm going to deal with it. People are too triggered. People are gonna. It don't matter what you do. As you said, there's so many questions. You don't need to address it. You know what I mean? You don't need to do this. Just do what you want to do as a showrunner, and just like, you know what I mean? Doctor Who fans are like, the thing is, they should be above it and stuff like that. I think it's other people, not so much Doctor Who, like big Doctor.
It's Doctor Who fans.
No,
it's not a beat around the bush. They are one of the worst when it comes to fandom.
Yeah, but I feel like the kind of like super Doctor Who fans, they're super like liberal and accepting, and it's just like I can't figure out what kind of demographic of the fans kind of kick off and stuff like that, because like no.
But that's the thing though, that it's because Doctor Who's been on for so long, it touches so many generations. They all kick off about different things. The older ones kick off because it's not like the old Doctor Who. The new ones kick off because they ain't got the Doctor they want.
That's what I mean. Like me, but the only thing that's going to piss me off is if they keep trying to raise pointless social issues and shining light on just completely fake, false things.
Right, and I understand that, but the thing is,
just to make a point.
There's a segment of the fandom that do want that.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. It's so diverse. You're going to annoy someone.
Yeah, I wouldn't care. He's like Chris Chibnall's just got to make the show he wants to make and not care. Is that something you agree with?
Yes, and hopefully it's good.
Yeah, I just want it to be good. I want it to be critically acclaimed and stuff like that, and I want it to be great because I want that for the show. You know what I mean? I don't want whack episodes. I don't want to sit there watch an episode, sit there 45 minutes later and be like, oh, that was whack, and just be like, oh, why? And just be like annoyed. It's like, why would you ever want that? You know what I mean? So yeah, he's got his vision. Just let him do it. People will mind, let him mind. I don't want him to be affected by it. I don't care who else is affected by it, but if he starts getting affected by it and then he changes shit around, that's going to ruin it for me. So yeah, that's my final thought. I'm Sam.
And I'm Matt.
And we always keep the Superhero Hub 100% holla. See you next time.